This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Welcome to Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrill from Equidaily.com, joined as always by Steve Bick from Sirius and XM's At the Races. Good morning, Steve.
This is going to be loose. Loose on the lead is right because it's been one of those loose and easy mornings. The racetrack out there, sloppy and loose at this hour after thunderstorms strafe the area. That's how I put it on Twitter. I was home in Greenwich, and I thought to myself, a couple more of these, a couple more lightning hits, a couple more hot dog stands destroyed. We won't have to go in today.
Yeah, and I was out of town on Wednesday, came back to that tree that exploded on the backstretch. I talked to Rich Migliore. He was out probably, what are they, maybe the set was not less than 100 yards away from where it happened. He said it was like an explosion. They were taping the replay show, and he said his earphones blew out.
He told me that yesterday,
He said in the administration building, pictures fell off the wall.
Wow.
And then the amazing part is I came in the next day and had heard about it, so I swung by to look. By the next day, it was no sight of it.
Exactly. It cleaned up very, very quickly, no doubt. Things, if you're debating coming out today, right now,
it's going to turn out all right.
Yeah, well, there's late afternoon. We could have some more thunderstorms, but that's an iffy thing. Sometimes they pass south of us. Sometimes they head north and go to Lake George for the day. It's going to be fine.
What I said earlier on the handicapping show, the bonus to the Overcast, being a television guy myself for years and years, we're lit beautifully. You look at the because it usually
I love myself in this color. Just look at that. Look at that glow.
There's the heavy sun back there, so we look great today, which is the bonus.
When don't we look great?
Well, you always look great. I'm iffy on something. I do want to talk about opening weekend. We talked already about last week, obviously. I thought opening day was very good. And I was really interested to see how it was going to shake out because we're at the earliest opening we can have with Labor Day being September 1st. Traditionally, even going back to the 4-week meet, when things started in July, they would start slow and pick up. So now we're early, and I wanted to see. Well, opening day I thought was great numbers. Last Saturday, Sunday was pretty good with the giveaway. Then the beginning of the week, things dropped down to probably where I thought they were going to be. But Friday, College Day, was a big crowd, and yesterday, 31,000 yesterday.
It was a monstrous crowd and a monstrous handle. Did you see the handle number? It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
23 million, or whatever the hell it was. You can tell that more importantly, you can tell that there's a buzz. And yesterday's crowd, for instance, was really energetic. I mean, there was a real buoyancy to the way the afternoon was progressing. And that's a palpable and positive environment, and it gives you the sense that the meet is only going to keep gaining momentum as we go forward. So I completely agree. We're off to a tremendous start, been off to a very safe start as well, knock on wood. We'll talk about the situation at Del Mar, which has been exceedingly difficult with their turf course. They're off of the grass completely today as we are here, but for us it's weather reasons. For them it's safety reasons. 3 horses breaking down in 48 hours, and that doesn't even include the Dance with Fate tragedy earlier in the week. So Del Mar taking precautions, and they're going to aerate their grass course. Meanwhile, we've, knock on wood, had a very good start to the meet in terms of healthy horses.
Yeah, has New York been in a good position probably for, what are we going back, about a year or so since that report came out. They made tweaked up some changes and whatnot. New York's been doing very well on that front for a while now. But this is a really kind of scary situation out there in Del Mar when it gets to the point where they have to stop racing on one of the surfaces because they're being cautious, and justifiably so. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Well, it's a fully new turf course.
Yeah,
this is it's not as if they just widened it and seeded a certain area. This is an entirely new sod, and that includes a seed, a bluegrass blend that was a sawgrass blend, I think, that was created by Greg Norman, and either it's taking too much moisture, whether it's a sea level proximity, whether it's a moisture content, whatever it is proving very hard and too hard. So, we needed rain undoubtedly, and this is going to be a real positive, the good soaking rain that we received this morning. For those that don't understand, why can't they just water the course? Watering turf courses will not get down into the lower structure, into the root system. You need deep soaking rains for that. And what we just had, these soakers, that will even out this turf course, which has been playing very kind to front-end horses. So our situation is healthy. The situation in California, disconcerting, and Del Mar officials want a few extra days to try to rectify the turf course. They've got to have some alarm bells. And of course, they got plenty of time, obviously 3 years before the Breeders' Cup gets out there. But that was a big part of their motivation in expanding that turf course and rebuilding it. And right away, first opportunity's problem.
Yeah, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that they can kind of turn that around, because again, that's a dicey situation. All right, let's take a look at some of the racing. We've got to replay the stretch run of the Jim Dandy, get some thoughts there. We'll be joined a little bit later on by Dave Grenig. We'll get some of his thoughts as well, the chief correspondent up here in New York for the Daily Racing Forum. Also going to be joined by Roddy Valente, who of course has hot stones in the featured race this afternoon, and then a little bit later on, Sean Clancy as well. All of that coming up. But why don't we take a look and get some thoughts on yesterday's Jim Dandy. Of course, the Haskell coming up later this afternoon at Monmouth, but 3-year-olds front and center all weekend long as Jimmy Jerkins doubles up, wins the Curlin on Friday with VE Day, and here you see number 7, Wicked Strong, really gets the first jump on Tonalist, and they kind of head down the stretch, and Tonalist for a second looked like might make a move, but boy, Wicked Strong, really, really nice performance as they added the blinkers in here, gets it done and validates that nice Wood Memorial win we saw earlier this year. And in a second, I think the guys will put up a shot I took outside the winner's circle, because I saw Jimmy Jerkins in the winner's circle, and I asked them if they still had the cotton in. They tried that before the Belmont Stakes, and there you see the cotton in the ears. He did have the cotton, had the blinkers, looked pretty good in the Jim Dandy win yesterday.
Look at you with the investigative photojournalism. Wow.
I'm on it, baby.
That's unbelievable. What was amazing, and what this absolutely was this weekend so far, Friday and Saturday, with that VE Day performance in the Curlin. Not that it got a big figure, an 88 buyer. This performance and the VE Day, all it does is tell you how outstanding a horseman Jimmy Jerkins is. Not that that was up for debate, but clearly it's up for debate, I suppose, with new owners coming into the game that all gravitate to the same people. Jimmy Jerkins takes 2 horses and makes adjustments and makes decisions on the fly. VE Day looked like a turf horse starting his career. Jimmy sees some things from him in that off-the-turf performance, and then the way he's moving on the main track when working out, and he perseveres, gives him every opportunity to succeed as a 3-year-old on the main track. There's always time to go back to the turf later on. Then, with Wicked Strong, coming out of the Triple Crown season, here he makes an adjustment that is pretty daring mid-year. You're going to take a horse who has been not one-dimensional as a closer per se, because certainly the way he won the Wood Memorial, staying in attendance to the pace, shows his versatility and his tractability. But to put blinkers on a horse at this juncture, knowing that you could end up with any kind of unpredictable result, well, Jimmy gets exactly the result he's looking for. A horse that ends up not just in the game early, but was way more relaxed even, and just going about his business. He was in total control of this race, and it was incredibly impressive the way he held Tonalist safe. At no point did Tonalist ever look like a winner in this race. And some people did say they wondered about his fitness level and might need another race. And of course, the big target is the Travers. We get all of that. But this was a very, very good performance by Wicked Strong. And frankly, 2-1 looked like an absolute gift coming around the turn. Tonalist ran fine. Kid Cruz continues to do what he does. What a nice, useful horse he's going to be. You figure those 3 into the Travers. Let's see what we get as well from the Haskell result. And since we're talking 3-year-olds, the Big Beast, how tremendous was the Big Beast? We're going to look at that
as well.
This was unbelievable. Coup de Grace ends up the recipient, I think, of a bit of a collapse in the in the Amsterdam, but we have nothing but good 3-year-olds, and this is always what's fun to see, Seth, at this time of the year when there's some horses that are still evolving as a 3-year-old. Tony Dutrow absolutely on the march so far these first 9 days of Saratoga.
Yeah, why don't we take a look at the stretch run of yesterday's 7th, the first level allowance, and Tony Dutrow, who we had on the show last week, the big beast. And I understand a triple-digit buyer coming out of it, 100 coming out of this, and it's just a visually impressive performance. So we'll watch the stretch run and see the big beast, the number 1 horse, get it done yesterday as the 8-5 favorite, and just get it done easily.
He demolished this field, and don't make any mistake, this was a nice group. Twang actually coming in for Claiborne, and there was big expectations by Al Stahl and his team, and it is just an absolute demolition. It just attends the pace, comes up inside and gains position and takes over with authority and wins well for the Leblongs and for Tony Dutrow. In fact, the Leblongs come back today with a maiden in that nice maiden race we're looking forward to later this afternoon. We'll talk about that maybe with Dave Grenig. But boy, this is a horse that clearly puts himself squarely in the picture for things like the King's Bishop. It was also suggested to me that he could end up in the Gallant Bob down in Philadelphia, knowing the way Tony operates. But I think they'll be hard-pressed not to try to make a sire out of this horse with a King's Bishop performance. Not that there aren't going to be serious horses like Bayern, who Baffert, even though he sends him to the Haskell today, already says the plan is to go Haskell and then turn back to 7 in the King's Bishop. So the big beneficiary of the last couple of days here at Saratoga is the calendar, because you look down to the highlight of the season, the Travers Day, King's Bishop and Travers, boy, everything pointing to great confrontations later in the meet.
Yeah, and we got the competitive edge race. We'll look at that with Dave Grenig. He wrote a little follow-up article on that. That was a pretty nice debut performance. So,
well, considering the Chad Brown firster that was in there, the
sibling to Tappet.
Yeah, the Tappet sibling, and you go back just to mention this, that whole race. You also had Bayard that Asmussen was sending out. Captain Moss had a buzz about him. Here were Leblong and Dutrow again. They like today's agenda that you can keep an eye on. So this is going to be a key race. Competitive edge, an 88 buyer, boom, right off the bat. What a debut that was. And you know what was amazing? That horse, when you looked at pedigree, that horse did not have any real heavy pedigree to recommend him.
That's why I used it underneath. The pedigree was not jumping off the pages
as
compared to a lot of these firsters. And I guess the buzz was out there, according to the Grenig article. The buzz, for some reason, does not. Here it is. Here's competitive. But the buzz does not reach me for some reason. I'm not in the buzz loop.
That's because you got the thing in your ear there. You walk around with that earbud, and so nobody. Maybe you got the cotton in the ears. Maybe that's why you wicked strong cotton. This was a very impressive debut, and you got to think that this horse becomes immediately your hopeful target. And Tony Dutrow talked with Tony actually yesterday after that race. Big trouble right away. Somebody said, "Oh, becomes your hopeful favorite." Whoa. How quickly they forget. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, but it was a nice performance, and continues on the human side. Taylor Rice got a win, and I think, you get off the schneid a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see. I said at the beginning of the meet, it'd be fun to see what she does coming off the nice winner down in New York. But once you get going, Rosie Napravnik has gotten some wins now, so she's off the schneid as well after first couple of days back from the injury, and the Ortiz brothers continue to ride very well too.
Well, and yesterday you had 11 races. You had 11 different winning sets of connections, which is very cool.
Oh, we have to mention yesterday, my man Shepard. We were talking about his winner. That was the 46th consecutive year he's won at Saratoga. That's an incredible record right there.
Razzle Jazzle is the horse.
Yeah, those records, they kind of float under the radar a little bit, but that one.
Not with you, Shepherd boy. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. And in fact, I love the people who said, "Oh, I can't bet a horse that's been off for a year and a half. How do I bet a horse like this that's been off all this time, going a mile and a half?" What are you kidding? Jonathan Shepard, you don't have to look at the workouts. Shepard had been working that horse out from Pennsylvania down to Virginia and back. Come on.
Yeah.
Who's thinking that? You got 8-1 on him.
And I That was the one I loved all day long because it was a rough day other than that for me. All right, we'll head to our break. When we come back, Roddy Valente, he has Hot Stones in the Shoe V this afternoon. We'll talk a little bit about that horse and the sire Bustin' Stones. All of that right after this.
Go Zephyr kicking clear, and Go Zephyr is pulling away impressively.
Hysterical Lady, Ginger Punch to win it.
And it's Wilco in front, and he's going to pull off a huge upset here.
But it's Round Pond going on to take the distaff.
Awesome again, sire of 10 Grade 1 winners, 4 Breeders' Cup champions, and 4 multimillionaires, standing at Adena Springs.
It's more than just a sports bar. It's Stadium Cafe. Located at 389 Broadway in Saratoga, it's the place to be for great times and great food. Their menu features everything from gourmet entrees to your favorite wraps and sandwiches. Or maybe you just want to grab a beer and catch the game. So what can be better than that? How about 2 Stadium Cafes? There's also the Westside Stadium, right up the road at 112 Congress Street. Same great menu, same great service. Whether you're hanging at the bar or just relaxing outside on their spacious covered patio, you'll always leave knowing you'll be back again.
We love, above all, the staff. We love Dave Harmon, and the food is fantastic.
Not 1, but 2. 112 Congress Street, 389 Broadway. Guaranteed to be a home run.
Sovereign Stable.
Partnerships.
Ownership.
Winning.
Sovereign Stable.
The anticipation.
The excitement.
The thrill.
Top level racing.
Sovereign Stable.
Join us in the morning on the backstretch of Saratoga Racecourse to experience the magic of thoroughbred ownership. Call 866-329-2WIN to meet trainers, jockeys, and watch sovereign horses on the track.
Welcome back to Loose on the Lead. Seth Merrow and Steve Bick, and very happy to be joined now by our friend Roddy Valente. It's always good to root for local owners, and we got a rooting interest today in the graded stake, the Shoe V this afternoon here at Saratoga. Your Hot Stones runs coming out of a win in the Grade 3 Better Roses, a daughter of your great sire, Bustin' Stones, who was a great runner for you as well. But first off, we have to ask, we had the rain this morning. They're listing the track currently as muddy, although the sun has now come out, so things could dry out this afternoon. But any concerns about the track condition?
We were hoping for a dry track, but fortunately we're going to run off at 5:15, and the sun is out, and this track does take on some water, so we're hoping that it dries out. And I think it would be to our advantage to have a dry track.
And give us a little, as I said, Hot Stones, a daughter of Bustin' Stones. So before we talk about Hot Stones and the race this afternoon, just give us a little background on Bustin' Stones. You have to be thrilled, absolutely, with the way he's turning out as a sire.
Seth, absolutely. It's tough to stand a stallion, and it's tough to stand a horse that really wasn't regally bred, so to speak, but he had the heart of a champion. And fortunately, one of his offsprings now is won a graded stake, and we couldn't be any more happy with her. And it's funny because 22 years in this game, and it's the first opportunity I'm getting to lead a horse into a stake race. So you take nothing for granted in this game. And being that she's a graded stakes winner right now, we've kind of done everything properly. We've won our New York bred conditions. We won the open conditions, and when she ran second to La Verdad, got beat a half a length in the $200,000 New York bred stake, we felt she was worthy to go into the Better Roses. And ironically, we didn't nominate her into that race. We supplemented her. And actually, I kind of played my trainer's hand and asked him to look at the PPs.
I think we had the stretch run of the Better Roses if the guys want to show it. Hot Stones will be the number 5 for us. So continue talking about that a little bit.
Yeah. It was ironic because we thought, on paper the race was full of speed and nobody ran with the horse that was loose on the lead at that time. And I believe Irad had sensed that and figured he had to move her a little bit early. And Johnny V had asked Bruce to throw a set of blinkers on her, and I think she was a lot more focused coming down the stretch, as you could see. And believe me, this race, no one deserved to lose in this race. It didn't deserve a loser. I mean, our hats went off to Mr. Henning's horse and his connections as well.
Yeah, and that was a great performance, as you say. The race before, I think the close-up second to La Verdad may have tipped their hand a little bit, because La Verdad is a very, very nice horse. Before we move on a little bit, talk a little bit about your partners.
I have two great partners in this horse. J.R. Casal goes under Charlie, and the Belinsky family. Jerry and I have bred this filly, but J.R. is very involved, and he's a great partner. You know, he kind of like sits in the back seat, but he's one of the biggest rooters I've ever ran to in this game.
Got to ask too, Roddy, when you look at this opportunity today in the Bed of Roses, it's also a chance maybe to show that a Bustin' Stones product can stretch out and get this kind of a distance. This one is out of a Freud mare, and there's also the possibility that I'm sure in the back of your mind that you and Bruce have considered turf along the way for her, because there's plenty of grass pedigree in here, and it's one of the beauties of Bustin' Stones, being a city zip himself. It's one of the nice hallmarks, a horse that's going to get kind of a versatile. We talked about this several months ago about the ability to get sprinters, to get horses for middle distance, and then of course grass when it comes to sons and daughters of city zip.
Steve, you know, it's a good point. Bruce, when he trained Bustin' Stones, was dying to run the horse in the Met Mile. You know, he won the Carter going 7/8, which is grade 1, and he told me, he said, Roddy, I don't think that 7/8 is his limitations. So we didn't get that opportunity, and this mare that runs today, if you follow her lines, she was off the board one time. With that being said, the time that she ran off the board, she hit the gate so hard, and you know, it's just like somebody, if you were sucker punched. She was dazed, and she came back, and she was bleeding out both nostrils, and you know, Bruce feared at that point that she bled in the race, and then you know, the jockey said no, she really hit the gate so hard. And the one thing that I do like about her form, and believe me, I know we're taking a shot here, and I have no problems, and I think it's a very, very, very good field, but she has one going 2 turns, you know, going a mile at 2 turns. So it isn't like we're going from a 1-turn mile to 2 turns. So, you know, what do we have to lose? I mean, at this point, we'll find out. You got to pay to find out if she can get that extra 1/8 of a mile.
You just also said the key to what I wanted to bring up with you next, because earlier you were involved with Rich Migliori and the new owners seminar. And to me, you know, that's been a terrific, I've been involved myself, and there's so many nice things about being involved in the game. And, you know, I always say how you take the ups and the downs with a smile and in stride. Talk a little bit about what you did already today in terms of the new owners presentation and the kind of risks involved, the expenses involved, and what it's like to be committed to getting into the game and staying in it and seeing things through.
You know, it's funny because I don't like to public speak, but I love to speak about horses. I just have such a passion for the horse game, and you know, Richie has reached out to me now 3 times, and like I told him, anything I could do to help support this game, and we need new owners, and we need people to learn the game, and we, you know, I stressed when I spoke over there this morning that, you know, a lot of times we get a bad rap in this game, you know, but any business has bad people involved, and in our business, you know, they make a big situation out of a minute situation, and I'm referring to if someone's cheating with drugs or what have you. But I mean, I've been in this game for 22 years, and I'm a student of the game. I refer to myself as a student. This is a great game. It's a great business, and it's an honest game. And I wouldn't be in it, and I wouldn't invest the money that I do. And you know, it becomes something that your family can be entitled to, and your friends, and you know, you don't have to be a king or a prince to be in this game. If you know, I made mention as far as if you just take a look at California Chrome, the owner basically, they bought a mare for $7,000. They brought her to a $2,000 stud fee, and she wins 2/3 of the Triple Crown. I mean, the only thing that guy did wrong was he probably drank too much the day of the Belmont and made a buffoon of himself, but the horse did nothing. So my point is, anybody, there's no formula. There's no formula to create a good horse. Anybody in this game, you could could have a good horse that's 20,000 or one that's 2 million. And I'll tell you, I'll take the range from 20 to 100. Them horses seem to be the ones that break through.
And along that line, talk a little bit about, and we have the stretch run here, Grade 1 Carter from 2008, Bustin' Stones gets his Grade 1. He will be the number 9. Talk a little bit about Bustin' Stones and how you wound up with a horse like that.
It's ironic. I claimed his mother out in California for $50,000, got her back home, and she never ran for me. She came with a problem. So I ended up having a season to City Zip, so I bred her to City Zip 3 times in a row. I said, I'm just going to breed her until she throws something, and then she, you know, me having a Grade 1 winner, like, if I could get to that point, anybody could get there, believe me, because I take no credit in matching them up. It was just something that I fell into.
Were you there that day? I assume you probably were.
We had 60 of my buddies. We had Amtrak gave us our own car going down, and
and we should mention what career record was 6 for 6 with this guy, right?
Yeah, undefeated career.
Incredible.
Well, the ride down on the train must have been one thing. The ride back, I imagine, got a little raucous.
We all missed the last train out of Manhattan. It was crazy. Believe me, it was crazy.
How'd everybody get back?
Everybody fended off for themselves at that point. They all surfaced the next day by noontime. Everybody checked in.
And for folks who don't know, Bustin' Stones, Hot Stones, one of my all-time favorite names, Stoneless, Stones in everything. For folks who don't know your other business, clue them into why Stone is in all the horses' names.
I'm fortunate enough to have a gravel quarry in the Capital District, and it's funny you say Stoneless because Bruce had an assistant. We had just gelded this horse. He says, I got a great name for him. And so he's ready to run that week. So we switched the name to Stoneless, and Durkin had a blast with it.
Yeah, it was one of the all-time greats.
We should mention, and of course, we're coming into the fall season, and breeding season will start next February. In the meantime, the New York Bred Sale, we should really get a plug in for Keene and for Waldorf Farm and any New York Breds that are in the sale coming up.
There's 3 of them that are in that sale, and I appreciate you saying that because as far as pound for pound, he's got to be the best blue-collar $5,000 stud fee that you're going to have in New York. And the other thing I like to make mention of, that last race that we won was $90,000 to us. It was a $150,000 race. We had $56,000 in bonus money on top of that.
From the breeding.
From the breeding, the open win, and basically the Stallion Awards. $56,000. That's like winning another stake.
Yeah.
So
they start with an advantage,
Absolutely.
Roddy, we absolutely appreciate the visit this morning, and absolutely we wish you good luck this afternoon and with other entrants as the meet progresses, but we'll be watching Hot Stones in the Shoe Bee today, so good luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
The perpetually tan Roddy Valenti, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Always great.
All
We're
right,
going to be right back. Dave Grenig is going to join us from the Daily Racing Forum. Not as perpetually tan, but perpetually on the backstretch looking for stories. He'll join us next.
I'm Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. Did you know that each Monday during the Saratoga Racing Meet, all Capital Bets account holders can earn an additional 1% in their player rewards program when wagering on Saratoga races? For more information, log on to CapitalOTB.com.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Saratoga Classic on August 9th. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
I didn't want to get just any degree after high school.
Horse racing has always been my passion.
I was already a lawyer.
When I was young, my dad took me to the races. The sound of the crowd. I still remember.
I'm 40, and I don't want to stay in a career I don't love.
I want to follow my passion.
Follow your passion at the University of Arizona Racetrack Industry Program.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning. Happy to be joined now by Dave Grenning from the Daily Racing Form. Good morning, Dave.
Guys, how are you?
Very good.
Dave?
I was
You had to show me that right before. Jeez Louise.
The best part of the show is the commercial breaks.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like Letterman.
It's the show within
it's like
the
Letterman
show.
when he talks to the guests when they go to break.
Yeah, we should have one of those after show. You got to tune into the internet to see. But
Bravo.
Dave, I was checking out some of the articles you've written recently on the Racing Forum last night. One that attracted my attention, Mr. Speaker, possible for the Travers. And I found that notable because, boy, he's such a good dirt horse, and he's coming out of that nice win in the Belmont Derby. And it seems like they've had the dirt experiment, but I guess, you got that kind of money sitting out there. You got a good 3-year-old. It's in the back of your mind.
Well, he's going to give him a shot. He's been working him on the dirt. He worked him on the main track yesterday by himself. Nice move in 48-4. He's going to put him in company probably next week and throw, see if he can take some dirt and see how he gets over it. He's not committed to it. It's in his mind. I don't know that he's overly impressed or scared of the 3-year-olds who are who are racing on the dirt. I don't know. I didn't talk to him this morning. Don't know what his impressions were of yesterday's Jim Dandy. But he's going to give him the opportunity to do it. He doesn't have to run him in the Travers. He could skip it and run him in the Saranac. No, he's not going to Secretariat. The one thing he's not doing, he's going to run here. Yeah. He doesn't want to ship the horse. He thinks the horse, maybe mentally may not handle the ship all the way. So that's why I think the Travers is in play over the Secretariat, because it's either the Travers or the Saranac. He's going to run here.
Another horse, maybe to get an update on, if you've heard anything on the backstretch in the past couple of days, any updates on Wise Dan and how's he working, and is 4-Star Dave still in the
It's
cards?
in the mix. He worked on Friday. It wasn't one of his wow works that he's put in here over the years, but he is a little bit older. He's coming off colic surgery 10 weeks ago. I'm not sure what everyone wants to see from that scenario. He's going to work again this week, either on the dirt or on the turf, and we'll have a decision then. And also playing a role in the decision is the weights. It's a handicap. I think he carried 129 in this race last year. Since then, he's won 4 Grade 1s on grass. Yes, he got beat, but he got beaten off the turf. Shadwell synthetic mile, I guess we can call it. So what are they going to wait a minute? And to bring him back off a long layoff, off surgery with, 129, 30 pounds? Yeah. I don't think that's what Charlie wants to do.
Fair point.
And before I hand it over to Steve, I just wanted to take a look at a race from yesterday, the maiden special weight event that we took a look at the top of the show, but you wrote an article about it. And anytime there's a Dave Grenning article focusing on a first-time starter, it had to be an impressive performance. Fletcher's firster yesterday, competitive edge. We watched it earlier, 4-5, and this horse runs away and hides from this bunch. So kind of an impressive debut effort.
It was a very impressive debut. This was the fastest 6 furlongs of the meet until about 2 hours later when the Big Beast lived up to his name and ran 109 flat. I did a 2-year-old story before the meet started, and I did actually lead with competitive edge and Aldrin, who did not run as well. He, I believe, beat only one horse.
Aldrin was the Tappet.
The three-quarter brother to Tappet, who also cost $1 million. This was a bargain basement for $750, but he lived up to the hype. He was all in the also eligible list at entry time, and he got lucky, got the scratch of the Genius from Eric Eo, and the horse ran, if there's a better one in Todd's barn, wow, then they're all in trouble back there. But this one looks to be his best. He ran to his works, he ran to expectations, and we'll see him in the hopefully on September 1st.
Yeah, very impressive.
Dave, I want to touch on a few different
Your
things.
witness.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. The performance that I think has gone a little bit under the radar from the week, that was just out there and then quickly forgotten, was Artemis Agritera. And the comeback performance that sets her up for what?
Whatever they want, I guess. I don't think she's not coming back in the test next week.
Right.
Just remember, it was against New York Breds.
Still,
so,
but
it was a very good effort. It was a good return, and they sort of did this backwards. They ran in the Grade 1 and then ran an allowance race. They probably wish they reversed that and maybe ran an allowance race and then had her ready for the test. Mike Hushin thought she was doing so good on the comeback trail that they went right into the acorn off the layoff, which obviously did not prove to be the prudent move. I don't know what they do with it. I guess the ballerina's there if you want to try olders, but again, you're coming from a New York bred other than to face older fillies and mares going to going 7/8. I don't know if they want to do that. There's also, the New York Showcase program. There's that day after the Travers where it's a 1.1 miles, which I think she could handle. I believe it's a 1.1 miles. 200,000. That might not be a bad little spot either. But I think they're a little bit in a rock and a hard place, really, because the ballerina, maybe they'll learn more tomorrow after watching the Honorable Miss and see how that works out, because the Honorable Miss tomorrow will produce a ballerina starter. But I don't know. It's a tough call for them, I think. She does love this racetrack, though.
Well, and I was very impressed, and I really wondered where she stood coming out of that Acorn, and she was wide, and there were some issues that were dismissed, could be make the effort dismissible. To stay with Hushin for a second, let's guide ourselves into yesterday's action. And Captain Sirius, with the change in the lineup and with Cousin Stephen coming out, it did seem that Captain Sirius was going to have his best opportunity to control that race. And if there was one horse coming out of there that has no excuse, it had to be Captain Sirius.
Yeah, he just ran a clunker. I don't have an excuse where he was getting a perfect trip behind dueling leaders. It looked like he was getting the dream trip of life, and then just had nothing in the stretch. And I know Mike was pretty disappointed, but I don't know if anything came out of it. I didn't see him this morning, but yeah, it was a pretty disappointing effort.
In the meantime, CZ and the legacy of Fred Bry, Jack's Are Better Farm, Stanley Gold, and Nick Zito. I thought CZ ran as courageous a race as you're going to see. Ships up here, one quick work, and then proceeds to run his guts out. And as the race is collapsing, the beneficiary is Coup de Gras. And okay, fine, he ran well, got a nice figure, but CZ ran the race, I thought.
He ran a very good race. I didn't expect him to use that style. I thought he might try and do the trip that Coup de Gras got, but the horse, the 3-year-old sprinter of the day yesterday was the Big Beast.
Now let's get to the Big Beast.
That if you walk away, to me, walking out of, if you look at the King's Bishop, the Amsterdam or that allowance race, right. Boy, that was an impressive performance. He beat Olders, and he beat him. He crushed him. I know that a lot of people were like thinking this was a pretty loaded race and there were very fast horses in that race, and he just made them all look really slow.
Since we're on the 3-year-old kick, and we did talk quite a bit about the 3-year-old scene, and it all leads, of course, to the King's Bishop and the Travers near the end of the meet. Let's mention VE Day, and I lauded Jimmy Jerkin's horsemanship. A horse that a lot of people would have just continued to persevere on turf. He takes the reading that on the off the turf performance and subsequent workouts on the main track, and he parlays that into a Curlin win. Did not come up with a strong figure, an 88 buyer coming out of that Curlin on Friday, but just to me was one of those mild surprises. He certainly got bet 8-1 off of the big morning line.
And he's got a rabbit now in Wicked Strong, so that'll help him in the Travers. It was a good performance. In addition to the surface change, I think, and the workout that he had here that Jimmy raved about afterwards, I think the distance was key also. When you looked at that field, that was the thing to me in that field, looking at the Curlin, who wanted to really go 1 1/8? I liked Life in Shambles. I was a little skeptical about whether we wanted to go that far. And there were others in there too, who you just wondered if really 1 1/8 is what they wanted. I don't think you were that skeptical about either him or Charge Now. Charge Now being a half-brother to Super Saver, who didn't get a very good trip in the Iowa Derby. You could really dismiss that race. My concern about Charge Now was whether he was going to get hooked up in what looked to be a very pace-laden race, and he didn't, and he came running as well. So I think you'll get those two back in the Travers. They're going to be up against it because the 2 and maybe 3 horses that ran yesterday, who are all going to come back, they were pretty good.
Got to mention off to a good start, too, if we're going to touch on a few different esoteric pieces here at the beginning of the meet, the first 10 days. John Sheriff's, again, kind of late season. It seems like he's got now this pattern of, not taking the middle portion of the calendar very seriously, easing his horses into performances at Saratoga and into the fall. A couple of wins, that Fresh Feline. There's another horse that got bet and ran to it, and the subsequent winner.
And he's got Stanwyck in today in the stake, and she kind of thrived up here last year. When she won that race at Belmont in the fall, she was coming from training up here, and he said that she really did well up here. Now, she didn't run very good in her one grass race up here, but subsequent training to that led her back to the dirt, and she ran very well. And she's interesting in that race today.
We know anything about the Zanata sibling?
Here, close to a breeze, and that's all I know. He's very
Cosmic One.
Yeah, Cosmic One. You won't see him race up here. Maybe he'll make his debut here next year. No, I'm just kidding. But he should get on the word
It's
chat.
funny because it's true.
As Nick Zito would say, it's not only plausible, it has the added benefit of being true.
Let's shift our attention now to this afternoon. We talked 3-year-olds here over the past couple of days, but at Monmouth this afternoon, really a great stakes card, but it's highlighted by the Haskell. And we got a couple of replays, and the guys can kind of bounce them right back to back if they want to. Going to look at the Kentucky Oaks, the stretch run, and we'll watch Untappable get it done there in the Kentucky Oaks, and then we're going to look at the Belmont Stakes because Tonalist wins. Wicked Strong finishes 4th in the Belmont Stakes. Medal Count finishes 3rd. So I wonder if the Belmont Stakes didn't do a little something to flatter Medal Count. But going forward to this afternoon, what are some of your thoughts on the Haskell?
The filly's obviously the story. She's a very interesting entrant in this race. She was very good against the 3-year-old fillies. She's obviously stamped herself as the 3-year-old filly, and I'm not being critical of her, but she's very good against a very mediocre bunch of 3-year-old fillies, in my opinion. This is not Rachel Alexandra in my view going to the Haskell, where I thought Rachel Alexandra was like a legitimate 2 to 5 shot. This is a nice filly who's got a tall task, I think, today. I'm interested to see how she runs. She kind of had a public workout on the Mother Goose to set her up for this, and I think the key part of the Mother Goose success was her ability to ship in a few days before the race and run well. She didn't do that very well in Southern California last year at 2. Now, obviously, she was 2. It's late in her 2-year-old year. Maybe she wasn't as mature as she is now. But now she shipped down to Monmouth on Thursdays, had from all reports. In fact, Steve Asmussen, her trainer, was here this morning. He's driving down a little bit later. All reports are good on how she's handled everything so far at Monmouth, and she's very interesting in there. A lot of speed in the race. I think she's going to sit right behind it. But a horse that kind of interests me, who's listed at 6-1 on the morning line, is Albano for Larry Jones. Has that race over the track. Yeah, it was a perfect setup, but you know what? I think he's going to get a perfect setup again today. And this horse, back in the spring, was running on the lead, and then after a bit of a break, seems to have found a style from off the pace. And I think he's kind of interesting to me in here with what the scenario looks to be with Bayern and Social Inclusion and Wildcat Red going out there. I'm not a Medal Count fan. I know that Dale Romans loves this horse and thinks he's equally as good on dirt as he is on turf. Did run a very good race in the Belmont Stakes. And like you said, the Belmont runners ran 1-2 yesterday, but they were supposed to run 1-2 yesterday. This horse wins, I lose.
It's a fun race, and the 2 local or 3 local horses out of the Long Branch, all getting plenty of attention and discussion. That includes Pat McBurney's Just Call Kenny and Wayne Catalano with I Wish You Well. And of course, we all wish Wayne well, who continues to recover from a very scary bout of pneumonia that found him hospitalized and in intensive care this week, and had not heard an update through yesterday, but had improved as of Friday, I know.
You're hearing some good things about how he's progressing. And you talk about key race. He was a maiden when he ran 3rd in the Peter Pan, which produced Tonalist, who won the Belmont out of there, Commissioner, who ran 2nd and almost won the Belmont, and then he came back and won the maiden race and the Long Branch. So yeah, he's a bit interesting as well. And that 12-1 is kind of juicy. I don't know that you get that, but they thought enough of this horse to run him in graded stakes twice as a maiden. And I know that in talking to Wayne previously about this horse, it's all about distance with him. And these guys are willing to take a big shot in those graded stakes as maidens, and it's paid off. And he should. I think he'll like the extra 16th of a mile here from what he got in the Long Branch.
It's an outstanding card at Monmouth. If you have not perused, you've got the stakes action starts at 2:53, and of course all the simulcast. There's always a lot of people in the backyard and
that's
around
great
the
day.
building.
I'm missing my first Haskell since I can't tell you when, and it's
it's true. You would always go out of town.
I'd always go down there. Not this year.
I'm guessing that's because of Dunleavy.
Jim Dunleavy's going to cover it, and Mike Farrell. They got it covered.
And of course Kenny Peck on hand.
Absolutely.
I know because I never can get him on the radio. Peck always seems to get back to me when I ask him to come on before Haskell Day.
Right.
He always gets back to me the next day. Oh, I just seen this. I don't know if does he have a cell phone? How do you reach him? Do you reach him by Morse code or what do you do?
Email.
Email?
Snail mail. Look, he had 14 races to handicap at Monmouth Park. I mean, that's Kenny'll find a long shot for you. At least one.
Not afraid to. Kenny's not afraid to put a price on top. The Molly pitcher starts 253, the very good grade 2 for the fillies and mares. The Teddy Drone, always a good sprint race. The great Rebo Bobo, the centerpiece in there. But I think Rainbow Air, Benny Perkins, nice sprinter, getting back to his good races. The Matchmaker, one of the fun historic races at Monmouth, where historically they would run divisions and they would literally match up the winning male and the winning female as a season. Now, of course, it has the sponsorship from WinStar.
And they give you 3 seasons,
Three
right?
seasons,
Top three
horses. Very cool.
They stand a few good stallions, I hear.
There's a couple. You got the Monmouth Cup as well, and the Oceanport, outstanding. And of course, Marcus Vitale has got all of those nice horses of his, Valid and Lochte, and he's also got the filly. Valid, actually, there's a sibling of Valid that was MTO. I think MTO today. I got to go back and check my.
All of a sudden, he's Alex Trebek.
I'm failing Final Jeopardy here, folks.
No.
We got to bring in another. We got to bring in another contestant.
And we're ready to do that. But Dave, we certainly appreciate your
Sean
visit.
Clancy.
Dave Grenig, you can catch all his work, obviously, in the hard copy of the Daily Racing Forum or DRF.com. Dave, we appreciate it.
Got it. And Clancy got the orange memo.
That's right. The guests are all dressed, as the memo said. All right, we'll be back right after this break with Sean Clancy. Stay tuned.
It's more than just a sports bar. It's Stadium Cafe. Located at 389 Broadway in Saratoga, it's the place to be for great times and great food. Their menu features everything from gourmet entrees to your favorite wraps and sandwiches. Or maybe you just want to grab a beer and catch the game. So what can be better than that? How about 2 Stadium Cafes? There's also the Westside Stadium, right up the road at 112 Congress Street. Same great menu, same great service. Whether you're hanging at the bar or just relaxing outside on their spacious covered patio, you'll always leave knowing you'll be back again.
We love, above all, the staff. We love Dave Harmon, and the food is fantastic.
Not 1, but 2. 112 Congress Street, 389 Broadway. Guaranteed to be a home run.
Stately Victor, final furlong of the Toyota Bluegrass, runs right by Patio Prado. Alan Garcia and Stately Victor, a 40-1 upset.
Dinah Zappa holding on. Dinah Zappa win.
Horse of the Year Ghost Zapper, sire of 9 new stakes horses and 5 new stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Stately Victor in 2010, standing at Adena Springs.
Welcome back to Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning. Sun is out now. Humidity is stepping up, but it looks like it's going to be a very nice day and a very nice guest joining us right now, Sean Clancy from the Saratoga Special. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Good to be here.
And we always want to remind people they can pick up the Saratoga Special, various locations around the track, Stewart's, Five Corners, Bryce Chopper, and whatnot. If you want to keep up with Saratoga Racing Special is the way to do it. Also available online as well. This is horseracing.com.
Exactly.
Perfect.
My agent.
Yeah, and Sean, speaking of your agent, a lot of times we'll have you on talking about the steeplechase races. We'll have you on talking about the Saratoga Special. But one thing we haven't touched on before, and I want to pull up a race from earlier in the meet. Rudyard K wins back on July 23rd, and Rudyard K will be the number 4 horse here. Went through the Clancy Bloodstock. Talk a little bit about that.
I've kind of gotten a side business going, mostly selling steeplechase horses. I do flat horses too, but I buy a lot of flat horses off the track and sell them to jump people. And this horse, owners of Todd Wyatt's Armada Stable, they said they had a couple horses aiming for Saratoga. They didn't make it, had gotten hurt or just weren't good enough. And they said, find us a Saratoga horse. So I'd been watching this horse. I looked, actually, when we finally got him bought, he's now 5. I went back to my stable mail and I looked and I put him on my stable mail when he was a 3-year-old running an Ohio bred stakes at Thistledown. And then he ended up becoming a jumper, and he was a pretty nice jumper. So we bought him, and Todd did a great job and got him win first jump race.
So it's just as easy as find me a Saratoga. Find me a Saratoga
horse.
horse.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if it's funny, because you put those deals together. Like they said, we want to win at Saratoga. Like in May, which is like it's not exactly the easiest thing to come up with by May. And saying this horse, it was perfect. And Todd and I, we had a laugh. It was like in this game, it's so rarely it actually plays out. Exactly like that. So it was fun. It was a very rewarding win, and Todd and Blair White, they do a great job. They have a couple horses for me, so it's fun to see them win a race like that.
And just before we move on, we haven't had you here, obviously, since, but the Cheltenham Festival this year, obviously in the world of steeplechase racing, that's the pinnacle over in England in the beginning of spring. And you and your wife, Riverdee Stables, you had a horse at Cheltenham. We've got the stretcher under the article here.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
It's the blue silks with the red cap. You're going to wind up 5th. But just a red cap on the outside. But it just had to be a thrill to be over there at Cheltenham.
It was amazing. I had made a deal with myself on the way over.
It's right there.
It's right there, and a big white face. I made a deal with myself before the race. I said, okay, Sean, you cannot yell, and if you win, and if you're going to win, you can yell, but do not yell if you're not going to win. So I actually never uttered a word, which was probably the first time I've never said a word during the race, and everybody around me was going crazy down to the third to last, second to last, and just got a little tired coming up the hill, but it was a thrill.
Yeah, it had to be. And since then, I pulled up his record, ran a second, maybe a month or so later.
Yeah, we ran him back at Ayr. He finished second, and over there, it's very routine. You give him a summer break, so he'll run back in the fall. And
over there, steeplechase season is fall to
very
springtime.
much a winter sport over there with proper national hunt chasers. So he gets summer off and hopefully get back to Cheltenham next year.
Sounds good.
While we're on this topic too, on the bloodstock topic, the horse in the Kaiser on Thursday, the first time North America, kind of ran off a little bit. Was very eager.
Yeah, that one didn't work. The first one was perfect. That's exactly how it was supposed to play out. The second one, St. Jerome. He's a front runner over there, and that's kind of why we bought him here. We thought he'd have a lot of speed for a tight, kind of a tight track like this, and he never really looked very comfortable. He's on his wrong lead around the turns, and no, that one didn't work.
But a nice horse. I mean, form-wise, what do you do to? What will they do to kind of slow him down a little bit? And try
I don't know. You'd want to. Over there, he was always on the front end, so I don't think you want to fool with him too much. I don't know if you try to settle him in, maybe behind a horse, get some cover. Yeah. He's one of those you have to go back to the drawing board.
Well, we're going to go back, of course, Wednesday and Thursday. They drew yesterday. And for those of you unfamiliar with how the schedule is going to work on the steeplechase season this year, 12:25, Wednesdays and Thursdays. We've got the allowances on Wednesday and all the stakes on Thursday. And, I mean, for me, it's a real pleasure because I get to bring them on the radio and introduce them and get people, want people betting. Because, of course, things are just getting started here. And then races 2 through 10 represent a 9-race card from 1 o'clock on. But, certainly Bill Gallo, and it seems that everybody among the chasers like the concept. And for the people that aren't as interested in it, they can come and they've got their 1 o'clock, and it's not going to interfere with the pick 4 and the pick 5 because some people are afraid to bet. Right. You shouldn't have been afraid to bet on Thursday when we had the biggest mutuals of any race at the meet.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a decent schedule. You just hope people will follow it. Because it's so early, you're just afraid people won't really know what's happening. But so it should work. I hope it works out all right. We've had good races so far. Hopefully they'll keep filling. I think next week's races are good. AP Smithwick should be a really good race. A couple old returning horses, a couple new ones, a couple imported horses for it. So should be a good race.
Sean, we got the copy of the special here. You got a cover story on the Jim Dandy yesterday, and got about a minute left. What were your impressions?
I just thought it was great to see that horse come, kind of fulfill his promise. I think all of us, I root for everybody. You know, you always root for a good story. You root for a guy like Jimmy Jerkins. You root for Centennial. You root for a horse like that. You know, you're just almost there, and you know, you're kind of making excuses. I think everybody liked the horse, and you're kind of hoping he will step up and put it together, and he did. I think the blinkers helped. I thought he was very impressive. I mean, Rajiv Mirage said, you know, when he's hitting them a little bit, he said he used to duck in and out, and he was running straight. So I think he's arrived, and I think a credit to Jimmy Jerkins that he didn't pressure him too much and didn't go over the top. You know, allowed him to kind of get there. I know he was probably grinding his teeth through the, you know, Derby and Belmont to not panic and not put the blinkers on then because maybe he wasn't ready for him. But now he was, and now he is ready for it, and I think he's obviously at the top of the 3-year-old heap at this stage.
And again, that's the cover story on the Saratoga Special today. You can pick it up on track, various places around town, and also online at thisishorseracing.com. Sean, appreciate the visit this morning, and all of our guests here on the show will be receiving a gift certificate from the Stadium Cafe, our friend Dave Harmon's restaurant downtown. You can see right there.
And
There's
Stadium
the
West.
Yeah, Stadium West as well. There's the downtown version. So we thank the folks at the stadium for that. Also, we're going to wrap things up here on Loose on the Lead for this Sunday morning by thanking you for joining us. And don't forget, questions, comments, suggestions, looseonthelead@yahoo.com. We would love to hear from you. Again, it looks like the weather is turning for the better, so if you're planning a visit up here this afternoon, head on up. I think the sun is going to come out. It's drying out. The bus is going by with the back stretch door. That's got to be a good sign, right?
Exactly. Be
All
a nice day now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
That sibling I mentioned?
Yes.
Valid. First are Divine Praises. Bill Mott, Rosario, gets in, I'm going to assume, first AE in that third race for fillies, the 2-year-old maidens. But some sibling strength there. Divine Praises was the horse I was thinking
Keep
about.
our eyes on that. Going to wrap things up for Loose on the Lead for this Sunday morning. We're here every Sunday morning from 10 till 11, of course, all meet long here live from the Saratoga backstretch. So enjoy the races this afternoon. We'll see you again next time.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.